Yay! Hello, everyone. My name is Drew Drake, and I am a Blade of Merit and a White Scarf in Onstiora. And I am teaming up with Robert to teach a class. Oh, I hear myself now. Through you, Robert. There we go. Uh, and we're here to teach a class that we got to teach at a virtual event last weekend, and it went really well. Due to some things above our control, uh, we weren't able to post the recording of that class. So Boomy is letting us use his stream and Twitch to do the class live again so that we can still have some commentary and we can still chat with people and be able to teach the class again and then have the recording and then post it, which is our goal because what we were able to teach, I think, could be helpful for all fighters in the SCA. And this way we can also go a little bit more in depth and show you guys some more things, especially for fencer rapier side, since we're mostly rapier fighters. I don't know if you've done armored, Robert,
I
but
actually I actually did armored for a couple of years and I did youth combat, but it's been a long time.
yeah, now that my teacher has decided to win crown, he is he's like, I need protection on the armored field. And I was like, uh-huh. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like I can help so much with that.
Yeah.
But I
Hell
will
yeah.
most likely get armor and be ready by Pensick.
Hell
So
yeah. That's
I'm
cool.
gonna join the spear group.
Yeah, dude, getting rapier fighters in armor with a spear, it's like cheat codes. Because you already know how to use rapier and it's like the spear is so
Exactly.
similar.
This is your first time going to Gulf Wars, right?
Yes. Yep.
They've done the scenario in Pensick, but they have a scenario at Gulf Wars where it's bridge battle and there's rivers and
Nice.
only Marshall Piers can go in the river. And
Because
this
they're
year,
knights.
only
Okay.
Marshall only Marshall Piers with can knee walk in the river this year.
Okay. Is that for fencing too?
So yes, that's for fencing. And for armored, it's entertaining because I've known like mods who've done it and they get annoyed because they think they're not supposed to be there, but they don't realize it's Marshall
Oh
Pierce and
yeah.
they have so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fun.
So that'll be fun for you. You can
Oh
knee
yeah, I'll
walk
be
in the
able to
river.
knee walk.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
you're
forget that includes me.
you're a mod. Yeah.
I'm just a guy.
Yep, definitely.
Hmm.
Awesome. Now that we have a bit more people who've joined and all the technical difficulties behind us, hopefully, I will get us started. So, this class is about fighter progression in the SCA. My goal when I created this class was inspired by what you see on the screen, which is the SCA fencing tree, like skill tree, that Robert made with Boomy, John Drake, uh,
And Dom.
Dom.
Yep.
Yeah,
Dom from
I always
Atlanta.
forget. Yeah, and I was inspired because I thought it was a great stream that went through a lot of things that the newcomers I was working with were struggling with how to progress. They felt like they had too many things and also nothing to work on at the same time. And then when they got up to intermediate level, they started like hitting plateaus and not really sure like what to work on because again they either feel like they have everything to work on or nothing to work on and they were having a hard time prioritizing. And so my main question is this class is for anyone who has ever felt like you've plateaued in your fighting. And so I believe that the main person who can make you better in your fencing career is yourself. Some people are fortunate to have good practices or teachers, but without setting goals and dedications, it's really hard to move forward. So I'm excited that you guys are joining us in the stream. If you came to our class last weekend, we were very glad to have you. And if you're joining again, welcome. And if you're watching the recording of this, because we will have that, let us know, like send us any messages if you have any comments or questions throughout uh, the class. But yeah.
Yeah, sweet. All right, I'll jump into the skill tree a bit. So, like Drew said, actually, let me pop back to that so I can navigate around it. Um, like Drew said, Brumi, John, Dom, and I put this together over probably like 3 hours of like back and forth hashing out like what goes where, what matters. And I initially conceived it as like a video game skill tree where one thing leads to the next leads to the next. But that's not really how fencing works. So we ended up with this grid layout of um, different levels, different skill levels going in the vertical, and different aspects of fencing in the horizontal. So for the different aspects, we landed on lower body, which is generally like footwork as well as like stance and balance. Upper body, which is what you're doing with your swords or your parry objects. Measure and timing, and then these two strategies and tactics. This you can kind of see comes in a lot in the later phases. And then the last one was just kind of training methodologies and other stuff that we didn't know how to categorize. Um, I think of this as kind of like a map of kind of different areas that you can focus on with your fencing. And like Drew was talking about with intermediate fencers, where you feel like you don't know what to work on. Um, I like to think of it as just kind of picking a sweet spot and focusing on it. So when you're an intermediate fencer, you kind of have the fun privilege and sometimes the overwhelming uh, situation of you can you can progress through working on anything. So it can be really hard to choose. Um, so the things that I like to suggest are to do one of three things. Either pick the thing that you're strongest at and lean into it, get really good at it. That'll bring you success in your fencing. Identify things that you're weak at. For a lot of people, that's footwork because swords are cool and footwork is boring for a lot of people. And work on that. Or if there's just one thing that you find really interesting or that you're excited about, focus on that. But whatever you choose, go hard on it for a while. You'll see some progress. And then when you start to plateau on it, pick a different focus and just kind of keep doing that. And you will, over time, you will start to see really solid gains from that.
Yeah, and that kind of moves on to our next section, which is here we're big about making, for me especially, what helped me was making a progress plan, which is taking these fencing skills, the things that we're working on, and like I like to tell my newcomers, and I heard from a friend of mine that when we give you advice, no matter what level anyone is on, you're going to hear a lot of the same things. Like, oh, you need to work on your footwork or your parries or your point control. Like, it's the same things, you just get more refined at it.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly those things can get more complicated, but it's still a lot of the same basics and foundation skills that we learned in our first few months of fencing. So, the first part of our progress plan is to set a goal. Robert already explained it really well of just picking either something that you're good at or bad at to give more more direction to that. That can be something like better lunges, your disengages, better advances. Or you can set a goal that is you want to do well at a certain tournament or event. So you have a Queen's Champion, which is one of our biggest rapier events, or you're going to Gulf Wars or Penzik and you want to do really well at war. You want to have a better attack or defense. Or in general, you just want to have fun. If for some reason fighter brain or you're not able to like lock in when fighting is your problem, maybe that is your goal, is to have fun and to focus on that. And this goal can be set for multiple months up into like that event or war, or it can be like, this is my goal for this practice. And whatever that goal is, you stick to it for that duration of time. And that is what you think about either before, after you're fighting, and you make it so that it is fun and you can continuously do it. Don't set goals of trying to get an award, is really my biggest thing, or trying to get things that are not in your control. You can always do well in a tournament, and maybe your goal can be to win the tournament, but sometimes there are other things that happen. So even if you don't reach that goal, it's all that progress that goes into that goal that really will help make your fight so much better.
Cool. So once you have a goal that you set on, the next thing to do is to break it into trainable steps. Because a goal on its own is great, but the action behind it is what will get you there. So for me, what that looks like is identifying what sort of drills or conditioning or what sort of sparring focus might target whatever it is I'm working on. So, for example, for me, with Adult Swim coming up, I want to kind of dial in my fencing. So for me, that looks like doing point control drills. For someone who's new to fencing, maybe their footwork is a weak point. That might look like doing just getting the reps in, right? Just like doing advanced steps, retreat steps, doing lunges, doing all the basic stuff until it feels natural. Once you've figured out what sort of drills you want to work on, you want to apply the principles of progressive overload to kind of build up that skill. So for anyone that doesn't know, progressive overload is the idea that our bodies and our minds are very adaptable, but they can only adapt to things that are just a little bit beyond our current capabilities. If you go too far, then you generally will not respond well, whether you hurt yourself or whether you're just like overwhelmed. So you start with where you're at, and then you figure out like what is 10% harder. So in the context of fencing, what that can look like for a particular technique or skill is starting with solo drills. So you start to figure out what the technique feels like in your body. Then start applying it in fights. Initially, you want to start with people that you're comfortable fighting with, ideally people that you do well against, typically, because you're going to be bringing in this skill that you aren't familiar with. Once you can apply it well against those fighters, start to use it against harder and harder fights until you're applying it against people who are better than you, and hopefully this new technique is helping you do better against those people. The next thing along that journey is getting feedback. So this can be really valuable in that phase where you are sort of unsure what to do next. This is where we test our hypothesis of the thing that we're working on, and this is also a place to get advice. Some good tools for that are just doing pickups. Like I said, fighting against people who are better than you, seeing if the thing that you're working on is actually working. Another really useful tool is video review. This way you can kind of watch what you're doing and see if you're actually doing what you think you're doing. Video review is very honest, and sometimes it's really hard on the ego because often our perception isn't 100% accurate. So getting that video review can help identify where things are going wrong. Last thing is asking for feedback. This is a bit of a nuanced, complicated one. When you are asking for feedback, you want to think about what your goals are, and seek out people who you think can get you there. So like if your goal is to excel in a particular type of period fencing, talking to the person who doesn't do that style but is really good at fencing could be very hit or miss for you. It might be helpful, it might not. Similarly, if your goal is to have tournament success, right, talking to people who have tournament success probably will go pretty well, because those people will have information and advice that's relevant to your goals. Last thing on that is going to events is a really good option for that, especially these big events like Adult Swim, which is coming up this weekend. Plug for that. It's super fun. It's one of my favorite events in the year. But events like Adult Swim, like Penzik, like Gulf Wars, any of these places that lots of really good fencers are going are always a great opportunity for that.
And with these events, one thing that helped me really get the most out of both my feedback and my progressive overload was tracking my progress. For me, that is writing it down. I had both a fighter notebook and a notes app on my phone that was just filled with notes. Notes from video reviews to talking with fighters at events, getting feedback from practice whatever I could, I wrote it down because for me, that's what works. For some people, that's taking more videos, getting video review, having people send them their feedback through text so they can read back on it. And it's all about how you like to organize it. For me, at the top of my notes app or my notebook, I had a running list of the things I was currently working on. And before a practice or a training session, I usually picked one or two goals that I was going to work on for that practice. No more, or I would feel like I was thinking way too much while fighting and not
Mm-hmm.
do as well as I hope for. Not that I try to win practice, but if I am just thinking the whole time, it's not helping me at all. And uh, I also have a list, like, I always write down, like, who gave me that advice and when, so that I have a general idea what event it came from, so that I can then go back to my teacher and my other people that I'm training with to get feedback on that feedback. Not everyone's feedback is going to work for you. And so if you're able to track that knowledge and share it, maybe someone says something that you hadn't heard and it clicks better in your brain. And then you can share it with other people. And I think it's just a great way to track that progress. And then last is to review and adjust. So you're taking that, like, progress that you've tracked. You're taking the videos you've taken and have watched and reviewed. You're looking at your notebook and you're able to adjust at it. And maybe you can look back at some of those earlier things and, like, am I truly better at this advance or this lunge? Or am I having a harder time getting to where I am at? Or do I need to keep working on this thing because I still have not fixed it after a few months? Maybe this needs to go to, like, the top of what I need to work on goals wise. And because it can be really overwhelming. Like, if you're looking at the Miro board of all the SCA fencing skills right now, like, that's a lot. I have shared it, especially with newcomers or people who've been doing it for about a year or two, and they're just like, that's a lot of different things to move up, especially in the, like, beginner intermediate level. And so being able to review and adjust what you might need to work on, what might need to change, I think makes it feel so much less overwhelming and keeps fencing fun for me. And someone in the chat just said that they keep a notebook, especially for the bigger events.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I do too. And I even have, like, photos and videos on my phone. Like, I videotaped Boomy explaining how to hold my dagger when I was fighting someone with drop point. And I remember going back to that video and the photo I took so that I can show it to other people, because sometimes they weren't getting what I was trying to say, and Boomy explained it in a different way. And so having that progress and being able to review it afterwards and then make those adjustments is wonderful. Uh, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't spar to and practice to win and to get better, but also having times where you're sparring to learn and get feedback. So telling the person who you're fighting that those are the goals you have before or after means that they can then give you specific notes for those goals. So don't be afraid, especially when you're fighting higher level fighters, to tell them what you're working on. It's not for everybody, but that is something that can be helpful. So that is, I do the 5-step progress plan: set a goal, break that goal into trainable steps, get feedback, track progress, and then review and adjust. The next section of this class was important for me to focus on because I get this. I hate to say it this way, but I get. I'm going to use the word excuse, even though they're valid excuses, um, of common fighter plateaus and reasons why a fighter might not be making the progress they want to, and some ways to break them, some ways to combat that. So the first one is no teacher nearby. Maybe you have lots of fighters at your practice or a good amount, but they're all kind of at the same level. or you don't have someone that you specifically work well with, or you do have a teacher, but they live hours away. My number one is find resources, online resources. In this day and age, like Boomy, this Twitch has had so many videos, so many video reviews, so many classes talking about so many different topics from uh, how to train and fight in the heat, mental struggles that fighters have, reviewing certain events. Like I know there was a stream, was it just like last month that you guys went over y'all's Queens champion
Yeah.
event
Yep.
and going after wars, like that helped me so much. When I was first starting training, I lived in Trimaris, but was only playing in Onsteora. I was living in Trimaris for school, and uh, I just watched these videos and I took notes of what that was for me. And
Yeah.
so then
I,
I would have to travel to practice.
I want to jump in here and just
Yeah,
huge shout out to the work that Boomy and John have done. Like this the
absolutely.
reason that you and I are here today having this conversation, at least from my end, is because Boomy and John were instrumental in me getting to the level that I'm at, due through those like video reviews and other things like that.
Absolutely. And John is my teacher, and I was able to then do drills at home and send videos to him, and he would review them. And so if you have a teacher, even if they're not nearby, video review and sending them to is always helpful. And I really like picking up drills from events. Going to events, I have gotten drills from several high-end fighters. I'm like, so like I fight them, they give me their feedback, and I was like, okay, what are some drills or things that I can do at home to help me work on this? Not all of them have things because they can be very specific, but I've gotten some really good drills and work from that simple question. And the next common fighter plateau problem is no regular practice. And it's very similar things drills, continuously learning. And the last one, the biggest one, is traveling. This hobby is fun. It's meant to be fun. So if traveling is not something you can do, I understand. But if a goal of yours is to get better, traveling to events like Penzik, Gulf Wars, uh, Adult Swim, really like any big rapier events in your kingdom, it is well worth it, especially if you don't have a teacher or a regular practice. And then the third problem, gear issues. If you do not have your own sword, borrow, test loaner gear, experiment with different lengths and styles. I personally have a light 45-inch blade, and I let so many different people fight with mine because it's unique. And uh, I really like how it's weighted, and I've helped a lot of people like figure out that they either want a sword similar or not at all that sword. So try out different things because sometimes you're having an issue and everyone's telling you that's the issue, and maybe it's your equipment or your gear. You're not able to move in whatever upper body protection you have, or you aren't like the weight of the sword is affecting your arm strength. And yeah, you can work on your arm strength, but maybe a lighter sword could also be better. So that is always a big one for me. And then this next one I have for both me and Robert to kind of talk about, which is fighter brain. Overthinking or freezing up specifically. Uh Pick one simple focus in a fight, not 10. We went over that in our progress plan, but really that like it's neither me or Robert have had the biggest like time. Like we talked about this before teaching this class that for us sports and fighter brain come more naturally to us, but we've heard from a lot of our students and people we've worked with and even just our peers and friends who um have to either think about it as like fighting as this is just business, or the fighters who need to think about it as this is just for fun. or the fighters who go full lizard brain and don't think at all.
That's
Find
me.
what works for you. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I will. I'll chime in here too. I think, like Drew was saying, fighter brain is so unique, person to person.
Mhm.
Amongst people at every level, you see different mindsets, and it works for people. For myself, I really like to focus on preparation and then just on the day of have fun. Like I'll say to myself, my goal for this tournament is to get as good as I can before the day of the tournament, and then show up, be a delight, have a good time, and try my best. And that kind of,
Mhm.
I think the reason that that works for me is that it kind of like it stops getting me focused on the outcome, and that's where I kind of like I'll get like nervous and like tense up. Um, I in general struggle more so from being like overactivated than underactivated. So that's one of the strategies that I take to handle that. Another is I'll just lay on the ground, literally in the middle of a tournament when I have a break. I will literally just lay my full body on the ground and breathe.
Floor
And
time.
floor time, yes, and that helps me. Yeah, and what Spirit has said in the chat here is what works for you at one point in your fighting career, but not others. Or sorry, what works for you at one point in your fighting career might not at others. Your mindset will have to
Mhm.
adjust over time. One more
Absolutely.
thing on this topic, though, is I think there are some people who are on the other side of that activation difficulty, people who struggle to get activated enough in their body to perform. Some strategies that I've heard for that are just to like do a lot of warm ups beforehand, or to like listen to like music that gets you hyped. That could be like some rock and roll or like fast tempo
Mhm.
or whatever your preference is. All right. Next up is I'm going to talk about ego a little bit. Um, Ego is a topic that I think is behind the scenes in fencing, but that we don't talk about a lot. Um, I think a lot of us do this in some part because it's cool to be good at stuff, right? It's really there's a lot of kind of like social value in excelling in this sport. There's the award structure, there's winning tournaments, there's all of this stuff, and so it can be really hard to let go of that success once you've seen some of it. But if you want to continue improving, sometimes you do have to let go of that. There are going to be times in your fencing progression where to improve, you need to take a step back, lose a lot of fights for a while you work on something. Um, and that can be really hard on the ego. Um, but I think in the long term, recognizing that and being willing to kind of make that short term back step can propel you further than you would get otherwise. An example from my fencing right now, I personally, in my fencing style, I focus a lot on doing feints. Like I'll feint to one place and then I'll disengage and I'll hit someone else. I'll hit the person somewhere else, and that's something that I've gotten really good at. On the flip side, I am really bad at invitations. Invitations are essentially the kind of the inverse of feints, where you're kind of baiting an opening. You're getting your opponent to do a particular thing. Um, so I identified that as a weak point, decided to focus on it. So I've been using a very short sword. I've been fighting army sword and buckler. I'm using like I don't know a 28-inch sword, and you can't like aggressively feint and hit people with a sword that short. And it's been hard. It's been like I'm losing to people that I normally would beat regularly. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm having a good time with it, and I feel like I'm learning from that process. And like John said in the chat, it is absolutely about the long game.
Mhm. Yeah, no, my current struggle was trying to work on attacking more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like kind of going in sometimes without a plan, which might have
Mm-hmm.
not been the best idea. But I'm just trying to get there. And yeah, I was dying a lot more
Mm-hmm.
than I usually did. And that's okay because it has definitely helped me be a bit more aggressive in different ways. So
Yeah, that's what practice is for.
yeah, absolutely. And that's practice and fighting others like segues. we have a lot of nice segues
We
into our
do.
next section, which is community and building each other up. Uh, in the beginning, like I will say, in the beginning of this class, I was very big about how your progress as a fighter is really up to you and the work that you put into it. But community and building the fighters around you helps tremendously with that. And if you are surrounding yourself with fighters who also want to get better, then that just makes everyone's game more fun. It gets, because the more like that we advance and progress as fighters in general, the more fun we're going to have at tournaments. Like, the more fun we are going to have at events, because fighting, if you're doing it correctly, fighting is fun. And that correctly doesn't mean that you're the best, but it means that you are having a good time because you're doing what works for you and your body, and you're not trying to be too hard on yourself. So these next few topics are about how to create that community of trying to progress as a fighter and progress and get higher prowess. So, not just being safe and welcoming, which there are so many resources about that. And I've gotten some recently because, a bit of a shameless plug, I will be hosting an underrepresented gender panel at Gulf Wars after the Women and Gender Minority tournament. And we'll be kind of talking a little bit about this, but I really want to focus in this class about how to build that community and practice to become better fighters. And the first thing for that is the importance of fighting up, going to events and seeking out those tougher opponents, the people who have gotten into the finals and semifinals of the Rose tourney or the Onstjorn tourney at Penzik, the people that you watch these videos of, going out and asking to fight them. They might not always be available, but fighting people who you might lose and die a lot to, a little bit of an ego check, but it also is a great way to receive feedback. And this, I mentioned it before that we are going to go into it, is how to receive feedback and what to listen to. This is like, both me and Robert could probably talk about this topic for like hours.
Yeah,
It
there's
could
a
be a
lot
whole
to it.
class on itself. So to like trim it down some, and we could talk more about it with the chat after. But when receiving feedback, uh, if you go into a fight and you ask, tell them what goals you are working on, and then ask for feedback specifically on those goals, hopefully that means that you can work on those things and that they give you feedback on those things. But sometimes you receive feedback that either you know doesn't apply to you or you don't think will help you. My biggest thing is write it down. uh, if you are in a mindset that you cannot receive feedback, so maybe you went to fight someone higher up than you and maybe you got frustrated, maybe you didn't fight as well as you wanted to, maybe something else is going on and you can't receive that feedback at that time. If you have a teacher, if you have like an official teacher you're working with or just someone at your practice who can tell you the notes, you are always like, if someone starts giving you feedback, either they don't ask or they do ask, you can be like, hey, can you give your feedback to so and so that they can tell me later, if you cannot receive that feedback at that time. Other things that is my advice for a lot of newcomers is most of the time it's the polite thing is to smile and nod, but sometimes if you need to, you can walk away. This is a game, this is for fun. Never feel like you have to listen to someone just because they have a higher award than you, especially if what their feedback is not helping you, especially have fun. Um, a question from the chat, which goes into what we're talking about, which is, are you selective about who you ask for feedback? Um, Sometimes, yes, and it's not as much who as when. Because there's definitely times that I've asked Boomy for feedback, and then there's been other times where I'm like, I'm tired. Give me your feedback later. Or give it to John. Like,
Yeah.
so I think it's more of a win, but yeah, when seeking out tougher fighters, those are my tips and I think best practices for receiving feedback. And then take all the feedback with a grain of salt. Use what you want to from that feedback and don't use what you don't want. Take what you want from it. Don't feel entitled to have to try what the person who told you like to do. Like you don't have to do that thing. It can be helpful, so maybe try it out for a practice, but if you have found it doesn't, then you can move on.
Yeah, I'll answer that question too. I definitely am selective about who I ask for feedback from, and I'm definitely selective about who I listen to. Some people will start giving unsolicited feedback, and I will say thank you, and then I
Mm-hmm.
will ignore their feedback because it's just not, it's not in support of my goals,
Mm-hmm.
and that's totally fine, right? Like I try to be nice about it, but
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying, Drew, not everyone's feedback is going to be relevant to you, and that's okay.
Yeah. I commend you for being nice because sometimes that can be hard. So,
Yeah, for sure.
it's my advice is to be nice, but sometimes that is difficult.
Yeah. I'll add one more thing in on receiving feedback before we move on. As a person who is has been a white scarf for a couple of years, is now a master of defense, sometimes people come up to me and they say, "Let's fight," and then we fight, and then afterwards they say, "Do you have any advice?" And I am not a fighter who has my brain on when I'm fighting most of the time. I usually just kind of like lizard brain, but I've trained these responses. My body's just fighting. And so when they ask that afterwards, I go, I have no idea. um, so a little practical advice is when you are seeking out feedback from people, ask before you fight. Ask them
Mhm.
to kind of look out for things while you're fighting to see if they have any notes for you. It just makes it easier for everyone.
Absolutely.
All right, next topic is fighting down, fighting people who are less experienced, less skilled than yourself. Um, I think there's a lot of value in it, both selfishly and in a community building sense. Um, when you are fighting down, often, at practice at least, you'll want to dial back your own fighting. And when you do that, that's a really good opportunity to work on your fundamentals. Um, and as you're teaching these people who are less experienced, if you're going to effectively teach them, you're going to have to know your stuff really well. So that's always a good opportunity to kind of reinforce the knowledge that you do have. Additionally, like I was saying earlier, fighting down is a really good place to start with these new techniques. If you're doing something that you're not used to doing, that you're not familiar with, that's a good context to practice. Um, in that context, I want to talk a little bit about how to give feedback. We just talked about how to get feedback. Giving feedback is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I have read a couple good books about it, and I have seen it done very poorly over the years. And so I would love to see it done better. So the first thing is it's very important to offer feedback without pressure. A lot of people. So when I first started fencing, we had I would say, a pretty bad culture of unsolicited feedback, where people, often men, often people who are older or who had, various awards, and thought very highly of themselves, would during or after fights give unsolicited feedback of, just telling people like what they should do, and that is just rude. There's really no other way around it. It's rude and it's inconsiderate, and it doesn't take into context what the person that you're talking to um, needs or wants. So the first thing is, like I said, offering feedback without pressure. Um, you want to say, "Hey, I have some feedback. If you're interested, no pressure, right?" And if the person's not interested, don't be a jerk about it. It seems really simple, but a lot of people get it wrong. Um,
Mhm.
the other thing is to remember that when you're giving people feedback, it is for them. It's not for you. And I think that we run astray of that with this kind of like the award structure in the SCA. When people are looking at grant level awards or peers level awards, one of the requirements for those is teaching. And so there is a bit of pressure for people to be teaching and to be seen teaching. Um, and personally, it is my opinion that it is worse to be teaching people who don't want to be taught, to be giving unsolicited feedback, than to be not doing it at all. Um,
Mhm.
so uh, just remember that it's for them and offer it freely. Next thing, I've tried to really keep a big whole community focus when it comes to fencing. This was sort of a shift for me when I was made a white scarf. I kind of had a moment where I stepped back and I was like, oh, like I'm very visible and have been put into this kind of like leadership position. Um, and it hit me that like, this hobby doesn't exist without all of the people in it. Um, so anything that we can do to kind of build up that community, build up the people in it, is good and excellent. Um, and it only carries on if we do the work to help people improve, right? Like, there's not a lot of value in being, the king of a crumbling hill, right? If you're amazing at fencing,
Mhm.
it kind of you get the privilege and responsibility of lifting up the people who are coming after you. I like to say, I said this in my oath of service for Order of Defense. It is my intent to light the path for the people that follow, to make it easier for them.
That's amazing. Yeah. And to kind of go on that, we talk a lot about sharing feedback and helping people get better, but I also think the importance of telling someone that they're doing something good. Good feedback. Still
Mm-hmm.
let them know like, "Hey, would you like feedback?" Make sure they're good with that. But then tell them like that one thing you did was really good or that like five things you did. Or especially if it's someone you fight regularly, being like, "I see the progress that you're making on this one thing." Uh and good job. Like that that simple like positive reinforcement helps so many fighters. We are all human beings, and this is a very social game. And as much as we all want to get better, I hope, and like go for the tournaments and win it, we also want to just do good and make our teachers and our peers proud of us. And I think the more that we give some of that and give it freely and in ways that are supportive, then we truly can remember that this game is for fun and that uh, we are here to make each other better, but also feel better because this is fun and this is a hobby and it is a game. And I think if we remember those things and we work on the fun parts, which for me, everyone's different, but for me is fighting, then that's what matters. I'm going to ignore John's comment and the in the chat because we are. I might be his student. We are still different people. And I am going to open it up for the chat because this last bit is more about Q&A and discussion. As if anyone has any way you feel that you can help other fighters get better and encourage a welcoming community, either things you have seen or feel free to add it to the chat. I had a few extra ideas because I knew this class, yeah, it's been about like 40-ish minutes. Um, this was about our class that we did at the online event for Ethelmark, but since I think we have mostly rapier fighters here, I always thought we could look at the skill tree and choose a specific thing in the beginner or intermediate track and um set it as a goal and kind of um going through what a progress plan would look like. And then I also have a video of me and John. We had a backyard practice last month um, and doing what video review would look like. That was a question that we got a few times at our class, which was just like, what's video review and how do I do it? And
Mhm.
my advice then was go look at Boomy's stream and watch Boomy and John review because they have done that for hours. So, if anyone has a specific goal that they want to put in the chat, we can always go off of someone's goal that they already have, or we can look at the tree, or we can watch the video. We have lots of options. What are you in the mood for, Robert?
I'm always down for some video review, unless someone has unless
Oh,
chat comes up.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, I have this video. We can always go through someone else's video. The video I include is like 3 minutes. It's a quick video. Um, uh, Trying to remember. There's lots of different things I've been working on. Uh, I know this one in particular. I noticed some things with my footwork. Um, and so focusing on footwork. I will say, Robert, for me, at least in the stream, I'm only seeing like me. I don't think it's lined up correctly in the
Oh,
stream.
oh yeah, you're totally right. Let me fix that. Um, Sorry, bad things are probably happening to the stream right now.
Ah, it's fine.
Okay, should be okay. I should have it light
Yeah,
up now. How's that look?
that looks good.
Sweet. Stupid big monitor. um,
We have a question. Is this
yeah,
who is that? Is that Boomy? The different
I
account.
I think that's Alex, right?
Oh, that's Alex. That makes sense. Yeah, I think you're right.
Let's see. For Robert, now that you've hit your terminal reward, what do you specifically do to keep up your want to continue to play and improve? So I became the fencing marshal for my local group. Probably about 6 to 9 months before I got my writ for the Order of Defense, and I think that that has brought a lot of like a lot of life into fencing for me. There's a lot of I find a lot of satisfaction in helping my practice grow, and helping the people at my practice improve. And um, so I think that's kind of fueled that fire for me. I think also Athelmark right now. So before I got to the level that I'm at currently, um, Athelmark's kind of top end prowess was somewhat non-existent. Like I think pandemic happened and a lot of people were inactive or just like stopped fighting entirely. So when I came back after the pandemic, very quickly I kind of got to the upper levels of Athelmark fencing, and I think in the time since then, a few of us have just been kind of pushing and pushing uh, against each other to try to get better and better and better. Um, and that has been very satisfying. That kind of loop of every 6 months to a year, I go to an interkingdom event and see how I'm doing, and learn some things, get a bunch of footage, and then work on it throughout the year has been really satisfying. That was a bit of a long-winded answer. I hopefully got something out of that.
And
um,
then we got a question, which is there anything specific you try to do or say in it for feedback? It is sometimes difficult for people to know what exactly is helpful. Um, so I've been a coach since like I was in the assistant track coach when I was in middle school, and I helped coach archery since I was like 12 or 13. So I've been coaching for almost 10 years now. And in different ways, I've been paid for it. Like it is, I teach aerial arts mundanely, and I have a few different teaching certifications for both um, women and born female at birth and for youth. So for me, I think it is different per person, which I know is hard to say, but that is why I think it's so important. I start sometimes my feedback on hey, I have some feedback, some things I noticed. Are there anything, like, is there anything you saw during the fight, or is there anything in particular you are working on? Sometimes I start with a question because if they're working on something really specific, I would hate to, give them advice that's like completely something different and not helpful for them at that moment. And then I go into what I noticed. Sometimes, like Robert, I'm absolutely lizard brain, but other times I do try to pay attention during the fight, especially if I'm fighting someone who is a lower level fighter than me. And I look for things like footwork. Uh, if they missed a shot, what happened? Was it that I parried it? Was it that they missed? Was it they couldn't get around my dagger or sword? Like, those are the kinds of things I'm looking at. And then if there were moments I killed them, like, was it because I did a fast disengage, or was it because like they had an opening? Maybe they were too close, things like that. And I think the more you fight people and the more you give feedback, the easier that will be.
I don't have a lot to add. I don't think of
If that
myself as being very good at giving feedback, frankly. That's a skill that I've had to build up in the last year or two. And I'd say I'm still quite, I'd say I'm at like an intermediate level with it. But yeah, I agree with what you're
I
saying.
you're also really good with video review. So like
Mm-hmm.
some people are better at it while watching a video. So
That's
like
fair.
even if like you're fighting like if you want someone's feedback, I knowing this about Robert, I'd be like, "Hey Robert, can you watch me fight someone
Mm-hmm.
else
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
and then give me feedback?" Like if you are like Robert and you're like, "I am really like I don't know what to look for," start asking like, "Hey, can I watch your fight and like practice giving you feedback?" Like I did
Yeah.
that especially early on, and I still do that with some fighters. I'm like, "Hey, can I watch you for and like give you some feedback before their fight?" And that helped me a lot.
That's a good idea.
uh Victoria asked, how many drills should I be running at my local practice? It depends
Ooh,
on your people at your local practice,
hot
but
take.
not that many.
Yeah, hot take. I'm gonna say
I think
zero
me and
zero
Robert
to
have
one.
uh I think um maximum 20 minutes and it's optional. Not every
Yeah.
fighter has to do it
Yeah,
for the people who want to do it.
I would agree with that.
And do things specifically that you need other people for or for people to look at. Because if you're doing drills that someone could be doing at home, it's, in my opinion, less efficient.
Yeah,
So,
agree.
we got another question. What is stuff that AOA level fighters could better ask to Grant level and above and also do to help newbie fighters?
Ooh.
Do you want to? I feel like I've been answering a lot of questions, Robert, if you want to start off with this one.
Yeah. What is stuff that AOA level fighters could better ask to grant levels and above, and also to help newbie fighters? So I feel like the second question is maybe easier to answer, so I'll start there. I think helping newbie fighters. There's a couple different key stages. Um, yeah, pairing with newbies for drills is really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think
Absolutely.
so I have to do this pretty often because I run my local practice in a medium sized city. I'm in Pittsburgh for anyone that doesn't know. Um, I often find that there are two extremes of people who come in, and often people fall somewhere in the middle. But on one extreme, there are people who are just ready to go. Like they want a sword in their hand, they want a sword fight. Those people I will give the super pared down, um, like let's get you geared up. Here are the rules. Here's like 3 minutes of what you need to know about how to fence.
Mhm.
Go, and that'll be like
Yeah.
how to hold a sword, how to stand, advance retreat, maybe some parries, right? On the flip side, there are people who, whether they're timid or they just want more structure, or it can be all sorts of different things. People who aren't interested in jumping in day one, those people benefit a lot more from doing partner drills or other sorts of kind of like talk about it, see what it looks like. That is not my gifting, so usually I hand those people off to other people who like that kind of thing. Um, then after that, so that's day one. Um, After that, with newbie fighters, I think the biggest thing is helping them find the fun. If fighting is not fun, particularly in the middle,
Mhm.
you're not going to keep doing it. Um, and so that's going to be different for each person. But the approach that I try to take is just making a like a welcoming, supportive practice. That means when new people show up, that means like helping them find fights, matching them up with people. Because another big hurdle for people is when you go to practice, you probably don't know anyone at first, and so
Mhm.
um, it can be a big ask to have to walk up to people and be like, "Hello, do you want to fight?" That is something that, growing up in the SCA, I have not. That was never a culture shock to me, but for a lot of people, it is.
Yeah. Uh, to kind of add to that bit real quick, everyone is a little different. I've been working with the newcomers for about a year now at my local practice, and even though I'm not the marshal, I kind of took it upon myself because I saw some gaps in training and also just some my practice was, you could say, a bit like there was some divisions of people who liked drills and people who liked fighting more, and I wanted to try to like bridge that gap a bit. And I found working with the newcomers, there are some who just want to fight, fight, fight. Like that is what they have fun with. Maybe they were already an athlete and they really just want to get out there and be on the field the whole time. And I think that's awesome. But what I also think is awesome is I have this one newcomer right now who's coming to practice, and they just want to like talk through all these things, and I'm just like, yes, like we're just having all these like fascinating conversations about all these different things, and I think it is so fun. And they're just asking some really good questions. They're like, why is this person doing this certain thing, and why is this fighter doing this thing? And I could see their like brain working on it, and
That's cool.
both of them are having a lot of fun but they're very different versions of fun, and I like talking about it. But I also am the person who would just fight the whole practice. So, um, find that people at your practice. Like there are certain people that I send newcomers out to. I have a large practice where over half the practice are marshals. And we have a pretty large demo every year that brings in fighters. And it's really nice when they come because I can have like 3 or 4 complete newcomers who I do one-on-one class with, some newcomers who've been around for a few months that I send and pair off. And then when I'm done with the one-on-one, I'm like, okay, here's gear you up. Then I send you to some marshals. And it's been a really nice system. And as AOA level fighter, if you are not a marshal, I recommend becoming one and helping uh, teach newbie fighters everything from safety to simple moves to just how to have fun, uh, things like that. And then what you could do better to ask grant fighters is if there are some grant fighters at your practice who are teaching or at events teaching, asking if they need help or if you can listen in. Because I have taken one on one classes from so many people at different levels in my fighting career because I want to know how they're explaining it, because I found that was helpful for me. So if you hear grant levels or mods giving feedback or teaching a class, even if it's 101 and you're an AOA level fighter, you don't need to know how to, like, you already know how to hold a sword. I always say, like, ask if you can join. And the more of those you can take, the more you can learn and then repeat it.
Cool. One other thing I'll add in
If,
is
like, I think you were saying earlier that you wanted to teach. So, yeah, go ahead.
one other thing I'll add is you can always ask those people what they're working on. Like odds are pretty good that the really experienced fencers are also working on something, and they'll be excited to tell you about it. And you might learn something that you might never have thought to ask just by asking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Do we want to watch the video?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think we caught up on the questions.
Drew, what do you like to watch out for when you're watching a video?
For me, especially if it's a video of myself and I have that progress plan, uh, I look for what I'm currently working on.
Sure,
So
sure,
I
sure.
look for footwork. I look for like any bad habits I have.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are giving me the same feedback over and over again, like I like to bob my dagger. I don't know if I
Oh
do it in this
yeah,
fight. I hope I do so that you guys can see it. Like
yeah.
it's really bad sometimes. My dagger has like an inch to 2 inches where it's just going up and down, up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes like I haven't done it in a while and I'm like knocking on wood because it can always come back. Is like pull my sword arm back before throwing a shot.
Oh yeah.
In Onstiora, we call that the Onstiora cadet swim because it's like
What?
this like you're like with your sword arm like pulling it back like almost behind your hip and then throwing a
Yeah.
shot because you think power equals speed,
Right.
which is not true.
It's yeah.
So
That's funny.
so so sometimes I look for both bad habits
Mm-hmm.
and I look for like whatever that goal or thing I'm working on, would it be lunge, speed, footwork, or whether it be like point control or a disengage. Um I I I look for those things and sometimes that requires watching the video multiple times or
Mm-hmm.
in slow motion or whatever, but that's what I look for.
Cool.
All the things. Can I say all the
All the
things?
things. Yeah. Honestly. All right. Let's start this up and let's see what we see. I do see a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit of dagger
bobbing
bob.
immediately. I was like, I'm pretty sure I do it in this video.
The first thing I'm seeing here, and this might just be a perspective thing, it feels like y'all are really really close. Is that am I is that true?
I think it's a little bit perspective because
Okay.
we're on point 5, but I do think I am a little close to him. My
Okay.
footwork, this one, to like give context about my progress plan, my footwork is also closer. So
Okay.
I am practicing a slightly closer but wider stance. So that also will look weird.
Oh, okay, okay.
I took John's hand. Look at me.
Good job.
You see that like bobbing. But one thing I had been doing was straightening my back leg, and now I'm seeing that my back leg is more bent in these
Hmm.
passes. So that's like a good thing that I am seeing for myself.
Hmm.
He's backing me up, but another problem I've had is getting backed in a corner. So one thing I'm noticing is that I'm making sure I'm still doing some kind of pressure on him so I'm not getting completely backed.
Hmm. John just, I think he hit you with the.
Yeah.
Oh, he just full sent it. Nice.
Yeah, he did. Because I was bobbing my dagger and I did not was not in a good stance.
Did he?
Hit me a little hard.
Did he time? Yeah, it looks like it. Did he time you out there with the dagger? Let me see.
Yeah.
This is after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one looks rough.
He moved his sword tip, which yeah, he moved my sword tip, which makes me move my dagger.
Hmm.
So yeah, he got me on that one. Like that's for me, like finding those bad habits and then watching them in video. Like I don't notice I'm bobbing my dagger when I do it,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I see it in the videos after, and I'm like, oh gosh,
Yo, video don't lie.
yeah, it does not. Can be very honest, brutally
Hmm.
honest.
Hmm.
You can also see he's doing a little less attacking here because he's trying to get me to attack more.
Hmm.
Oh, I think I got him on that
Yeah, it
one.
looks like you hit him with the counter.
Yeah. And I kind of did an off step there, which I'd also been working on because
Hmm.
I'm a bit of a line fighter.
Yeah, me too. Your footwork looks super clean. Just like very
Thank you.
very quick advance and retreats.
I try. My lunges and other aspects of my footwork could be better. I have an
Hmm.
ad. Oh no. I can't watch the YouTube video.
I'll pause for you. um,
You can also share your screen to Discord so I can see it, but
that's
we can also
true.
talk about it.
But yeah, yeah, that's okay. One thing that I wanted to bring up when whenever I'm doing video reviews, and this is for my own fighting or for like sometimes I'll do video reviews of like high level tournaments or like back in the day, back when Boomy and John were gods towering above me. I watched some of their footage of the two of them fighting, and I was like, what are they doing? How can I like incorporate
Mm-hmm.
some of this? Um, and I think that really breaks down to just a couple of things. It's like how how is uh, from my perspective, like if I'm watching my video, it's like how am I getting the person? So like when I'm succeeding, how am I doing it? Um, and how are they getting me? Like what am I falling for? What am in what situations am I getting hit? Because like at the end of the day, those are the kind of the main things that I want to improve. Right? Is I want to not get hit and I want to hit the other guy.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Crazy.
I know, wild. Oh,
No, absolutely.
are you
Don't
still
want
on
to
an ad?
die. I'm on 2 seconds left. I am back, baby.
Back baby.
Oh, John says I'm too bouncy with my footwork.
Your folks a little
Yeah,
bouncy.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I'm gonna I'm
I'm
gonna
a bouncy
I'm gonna
person.
disagree with John. I think that like being totally conservative of energy and being bouncy are both valid.
John also said that Boomy was the only one towering above you.
True. That's true.
I think it was self burn,
That was a
maybe
self
in
burn.
short.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
There's a video.
amazing.
There's a video or a photo, excuse me, of the three of us as first, second, and third for a tournament at Penzic, and John is like standing on a chair, and Boomy's standing, and I'm kneeling, because that's the order, and Boomy's like almost the same height as John.
Amazing. I think I've seen this photo.
Yeah,
Wasn't it like the bear pit best
yeah.
of the known world
No, it
party?
wasn't. It
Was like
wasn't. It
that
was
one?
just yeah. It was just
Yeah.
a regular bear pit. It wasn't the best of the known world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. It was just the regular bear pit. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Um this person asks, do I fight with Millicent Rowan? Yeah. Absolutely.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Um Me and Rowan are both we're our provost to our teacher John Drake from Onstiora. So we share the same dad. Yeah, someone asked what kingdom we're from. I'm from Onstiora, and Robert is from Ethelmark.
At the mark. Yep. I live very close to where Penzic happens.
So jealous.
Yeah, it's great. I did not realize how privileged
As
I
someone who
was.
lives 24 hours away.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay. I'll get the experience when I go to Gulf Force this year.
Yeah, yes, you will. Well, I'm still 9 hours away from Gulf Wars, so
Jeez. Oh yeah, because it's in Meridius, right?
Glenavon.
Was it in Glenavon? Oh, is that Louisiana?
Yeah,
Louisiana and Mississippi are Glenavon.
Mississippi.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Alrighty.
Oh, yeah. I love Rowan's intro rapier first like SCA like that video is one of my favorites. I send it to
Super
so many
good.
people.
Yeah.
And you'll be attending Go Force. Well, me and Robert will be there.
Let's go.
I like to do pickups that usually happens at Rapier Point. I'm running a lot of tournaments, so if you're going to Go Force or helping run, I'm not running all of these. I did put all of them in paperwork wise, but on Sunday we have a novice tourney at like 3, and then Tuesday at I think 9 is the Everyman tourney, or formerly known as the Everyman tourney. It is now the Not a Mod tourney. Um,
Nice.
uh, and then we have later on that day, I think is, yeah, after that is the Fire Drakes Trios tourney,
Are you running that?
3-on-3s. I'm helping Leandra. I ran it
Gotcha.
last year,
Nice.
but the Fire Drakes are running it.
Mm-hmm.
And then uh Friday, like I said earlier in the video, I am doing an underrepresented gender uh panel after the Women and Gender Minority tournament on Friday. And hopefully we'll have time to do pickups too after that.
Are there
So,
any
yeah.
limitations on the 3v3
The
team?
trios.
Yeah.
Nope.
Hell yeah.
The only rules that we had in the past is that for the Fire Drakes, we cannot make our own teams. We fill other people's teams.
Okay. All right.
And if there are 3 Fire Drakes in a team, they're not allowed to win.
Sure. All right.
So,
Sounds like I'm scot free.
yeah, you're fine.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Ooh, actually. I'd be down.
Oh, John's a Fire
Is
Drake.
John not allowed to win? Salvador will be going. We could probably rope him in.
John, last year it was John, Victoria, and Slav in a team, and they went undefeated
Yo.
into the semis, and they did not move on to the semis because I told them they weren't allowed to win
Good.
because there were
Yeah.
3 Fire Drakes.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah.
seems like the move. That's. I feel like that's the most graceful point to bow out of a tournament is before the semis or before the quarters, like
I
before the.
also bought the prizes,
Sure. Yeah.
so I'm like, no, I'm not giving this.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised because we've had 3 mod teams not do well because
I believe it.
last year Boomy was in a team with um, Tiny Nick and Santi, right?
Pretty.
Wasn't that y'all's team? Yeah, it was Santi, Boomy, Tiny Nick. And Revna killed all 3 of them.
Yo, W Revner, let's go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
She's no
it's pretty
slouch.
great. And the year before, Rowan, Booby, and John were in a team, and they also lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Yeah.
they lost to MT, Tiny Nick, and someone else.
I mean, they're pretty good too. There's a lot of good
Yeah,
fencers. I feel like every time I watch the videos from Gulf Wars in the past, it's like so
it
many good
was
fencers.
yeah, it was Alex. I was like, wait, it was Celestria, right? I like just remember that
Hell yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah.
Drew, what do
Well,
the what do the what do the mods do during the not a mod tournament? Do they stand around and judge people?
Marshall.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Please, Marshall. If you are a mod and you would like to help Marshall or Harold, I think we already have 2 list coordinators.
Nice.
But like if you would like to help run the tournament, my uh he's not a cadet, but my student cousin Too Tall will be running it. So
Hell yeah. I love that.
uh yeah. I fight in it every year.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And run it if I can. So but yeah, I'm excited. So woo, several people's first Gulf Wars. Robert, you'll have
Yeah.
lots of people to hang out with.
Yeah.
I'll show the ropes as best as I can. This will be my third, yeah,
Hell
my
yeah.
third Gulf Wars.
I'll be in good company. People
So
keep asking me if I'm bringing fire ant spray, and I was like, I keep telling them I'm camping with a bunch of southern folks that they'll take care of me.
yeah, you'll be good.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that we have so many people from different kingdoms on like in the stream in the audience today. Like I've seen like 6 different
Yeah,
kingdoms noted. It's awesome.
it's awesome. It is so cool.
I feel like that's
Well, we will be posting the video of from the stream, so please share with your different kingdoms. Like when I first created this class, I was just wanting to share with as many people as possible because, like I
mhm.
said, I have a sports background and did fencing when I was like much younger, and it was a lot of fun. And I progressed quicker than some people would expect probably. And it's because I did these things that I'm now saying, and I want to help everyone else get better because it makes the game so much more fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
Cool.
and no one else has questions. We do Huzzah and Vivat, but usually Vivat.
You bet. Yeah. I feel
That's
like
a that's an interesting question. Which one? What do you guys do in Ethelwar?
we also do Vivat. I think it's because we're both Eastern kingdoms, right?
Mm,
Like Middle Kingdom does Huzzah, and like all of the kingdoms that sprung off the Mid, I think also do Huzzah.
yeah, we do both.
Mm.
We do VBOTs depending on like what the award is. So if it's an AOA level award, they get one VBOT. If it's Grant, two VBOTs. Um,
What?
yeah, if it's if it's a peerage, it's three, and then royal, it's four.
Are you
Nope,
kidding?
I'm
Wait.
wrong. I'm wrong.
Yeah, we always do three.
No, I'm not. I'm not wrong. But it's by award.
That's that's so interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. I kind of like it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes we do huzzah if it's like a non-armigerous award, but
Okay.
tiered VVOTs. Yeah.
It lets back of yes, it lets the back of
Yes,
court know.
it does.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
back of court we by the number of VVOTs.
Yeah, that's good. Cool. Well, thanks for doing this with me, Drew. Thanks for everyone for joining us in the audience.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
We'll wrap it up here.
Ooh.
All
Thank
right.
you guys for joining. Thanks, Boomy, for letting us take over your stream.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you for letting us do that and for helping with the tech stuff. Cool. Alrighty. Good night, everyone. See y'all at Gulf Wars or at Penzic or wherever.
Yeah, he'll be at Adult Swim. I won't be.
True. Yeah.
Sad. Next year,
Next year.
I will be.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Awesome.
All right.